Alright guys, I am back home after my trip down to Southern California. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over how I thought my trip went, some things that didn't go well on my trip, and then what we have planned for the future. Now we are in the garage. I'm going to apologize from the beginning. You'll probably hear some road noise. Just because I have it open for lighting, people are driving up and down, and we're near the main road, so there will be road noise. I do apologize. I probably will pause when cars are coming by just because it does echo in here. So let's get into it. So as you guys recently know, I went down to Southern California. I started a journey, went from here over to Moab, shot down into Flagstaff, camped for the night, went down to Phoenix, visited with my mom, saw some family and friends, and then we went over, took my mom and her dog, we went over to San Diego, where my sister lives, did some visiting, and I explored the Anza Borrego Desert and the Joshua Tree National Forest and started making my way home. And in total, this trip was a 2,887 mile adventure. That is what the trip computer on the Jeep told me when I pulled into the driveway the day I got home, that I had driven, basically 2,800 miles. And the whole trip was an absolute blast. But when I left you guys in my last video, I was going to go look for camp. We'd just gotten out of the Joshua Tree National Park and had stopped, aired up the tires, and I told you I would see you guys either when I got to camp or the next day. None of that actually happened. So I went to the Mojave Desert and I started looking for camp because my goal was to explore the Mojave Desert the next day and then start working my way home. Well, I got to the Mojave Desert and the wind from when I left Joshua Tree all the way through had gotten worse, and by the time I hit the Mojave Desert and was searching, it got to 40-mile-an-hour winds. Which, when you're in the desert, you get winds, you get a dust storm. So there was just nothing but a cloud of dust, walls of dust flying through, and I went searching to try and find a place to camp. I went down, I don't know how many different trails. I went over by the mountains trying to find somewhere that could just block from the wind, and nowhere did I really find someplace that could truly block the wind, because it was over 30-mile-an-hour winds, and the tent just, though it is solid, rustles a lot. And also because there was so much dust in the air, the dust would have gotten through under the rain fly and into the tent, and I would have just been covered in dust. I have slept in dust storms before. I don't care what kind of tent you have, unless it is one that is 100% sealed with no, skylight or needing a rain fly, you're gonna get covered in dust. So I ended up heading out to I-15 and started my trek towards home. Now, by the time I started trekking home, it was 7 o'clock in the evening, and the sun, still in the sky, but getting real low. And I headed into Nevada, hoping that if I got up past Vegas, near the national forest that's over there, or up into Utah, because honestly I was aiming for St. George, Utah, in the national forest that was over there, because it was all of about 2 hours away. I was like, I can make that, find a place in the actual forest and have some protection from the wind if it was still there, and camp. That was the goal. It didn't go as well as I planned or was hoping. I hit Vegas and there was a massive accident on the I-15 heading out of Vegas. And on Google Maps, which is not a sponsor of the channel, but I was using Google Maps, it told me it was about a 20-minute delay at first. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, 20-minute delay, nothing. It was 2.5 hours later that I got through the traffic jam. So I don't know what it was by the time I got up to where the accident had been. Everything had been cleared away, but I had sat there for 2.5 hours and was not able to turn around because they have, in that area they were doing construction, so they have massive cement pillars going through the median, so I couldn't just loop into the median, and I couldn't get to the exit because on the right hand side of me was just nothing but a wall of big rigs, and no one's moving, so you can't move. So I sat there. So by the time I hit out of Vegas and hit the Utah border, we're looking at about 11 o'clock at night. And when I got into Utah and I started, that whole time I was looking on Onyx Off-Road, I was sitting in that traffic jam, and I found some places that had been good to camp. By the time I hit Utah, I was still in 40-mile-an-hour winds. And the forest, I got off the freeway and checked out a couple areas that were close, because it was pitch dark out there, so I couldn't really tell what was what. Even with all the lights on, you're kind of guessing. The terrain got a little more complicated than I was hoping for, trying to get to some of those campsites. So I found 2 of them, I checked them out, and the wind was just blowing through the trees, guys. Like, I mean, crazy blowing. Like, the trees were swaying. I said, nope. So I jumped back on the highway and kept going. Just trying to get away from the wind. And the wind persisted with me the whole way, and the reason I know that was because I was getting 33 miles to the gallon in the Jeep. That tailwind was shoving me along, which was great. But at this point, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up since 5, and we were on the road at 5:30. So, we're hitting the 24-hour mark. We're getting closer. So I went down horse trailer. I'm not quite sure why there's a horse trailer. You can't have farm animal. I don't know. Never. But so I kept going down, and the wind just followed me. And when I hit the I-15, I-70 junction, I hit the 70 because I gotta head back to Colorado. And as soon as I hit the 70, the wind kind of stopped, which was great. And the first exit, once you get on the 70 and you start going, is an exit for the National Forest. So I got off and I started heading into the National Forest. It was just like a fire Forest Service road, and I just took off into it. And honestly, I was barely looking at Onyx Off-Road for an open spot, like just some open area, and I found one. Maybe 1/4 of a mile onto the road, I found a spot, and it was kind of tucked up in the trees, up away from the road. You couldn't really hear the highway, and it wasn't windy. There was a little breeze, but it wasn't windy, and I was like, perfect. It's 2 in the morning at this point. And I set up the tent. I set up everything. Like I pulled up the tent, I pulled out my Lost Horizon sleeping pad. I just kind of flipped it so it inflated itself. I didn't try and inflate it anymore. I took my blankets, pillow, tossed them down, and I went to sleep. I was so tired. I just hit the sack. I fell asleep. 2 hours later, the wind had caught up with me, and the tent was blowing, like rustling like crazy, and you could just hear the rain fly flapping. And though the tent wasn't leaning sideways like a typical ground tent would, if you had poles and stuff like that weren't secured like the Gazelle tent is, which I love the Gazelle tent for that, it was so loud. And the temperature, so when I pitched camp, it was still 57 degrees. Perfect, comfortable temperatures. The temperatures dropped to under 32 degrees when the wind hit. And the Mr. Buddy heater, I didn't pull it out. I didn't even pull out the propane bottle. They were all packed away in the Jeep still. And it was freezing cold even underneath all the blankets, as that wind was just whipping through the rain fly in. And so I stuck it out for about another hour, maybe slept another 15 minutes. And at around, about 4:35, I said I had enough. So I packed up camp as the wind it didn't try and settle down. It didn't get harder. It just was this constant 45-mile-an-hour wind blowing through there, and I was freezing cold. So I packed everything up and headed back to the highway. And back down I-70 we went. Because the original goal was that morning, explore the Mojave and head over to Moab, stay the night, hang out in Moab that morning, and then go home. Well, I shot the line and went for broke, if you will, to quote the Convoy song, and headed for Moab in the hopes of I could get the Moab, pitch up, and I would just sleep. Well, I hit the Moab area and there was no more wind, thank goodness, but that sun was up and the temperature started climbing, and at this point Moab was another, 2.5, almost 3 hours away from where I had camped. And I just said, in a sense, screw it, I'm going home. I was so tired at this point. I had only slept about 2.5-ish hours in a 24-hour period. And I was just tired of driving, tired of being out. I just didn't want to have to pull everything out of the Jeep again. And I had enough. So I headed for home. And within 5 hours, I got home. It was like 12 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. I got home. And literally, I pulled in the driveway. I took a shower real quick and I fell asleep. Like, I hit the bed. I slept for 4 or 5 hours. I woke up. It was the evening time. I was like, ugh. And ate and kind of went right back to bed. And then cleaned everything out the next day. So it was a bit of an adventure at the end of the day. It did not go as planned, unfortunately, but that's all part of the adventure. Would I have done it differently? Most definitely. At one point, I did think about when I got towards the Mojave, you have to go under the interstate for I-40, and I at that point thought, I should go to Flagstaff and just stay the night again. I shoot up into Moab and things like that. But I was determined to explore the Mojave. I should have just went to Flagstaff. Especially in the Mojave, when I found out that no place was good to camp, I should have just went back down the road to the I-40 and over to Flagstaff, because it was about 2.5, 3 hours away. Same distance as St. George, and I was like, but I wanted to actually make a massive loop and have this adventure, not retrack. But I should have gone back to Flagstaff. But, so that is kind of where I left off with you guys. Long story. And I told you the long story. But how did the trip go? I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a super fun trip. Flagstaff was beautiful. Not being able to do Schnibbly Hill was a bit disappointing, but I think we will go down to Flagstaff again, maybe in the middle of July, August time frame, to go try and do some more trails out there, because more things will be open. And all those seasonal closures will be done. But going down in Arizona and checking out the New River Trail, that was really cool. And to see all the greenery and just how much snow and rain Arizona has got over the past year, especially during the winter, was amazing. Like I've said, I've never seen that much water in Arizona my entire life. So that was pretty cool to see. Now head over to Southern California, the Anza Borrego Desert. That is definitely a mystery. There are lots of trails out there, and it is super pretty in certain areas. I will admit, other areas, to me, it was no different than an Arizona desert. But I did not care for some of their main trails that didn't branch off, just because they were that washboard kind of trail. I personally just hate those washboard trails, especially if they continue on for mile after mile after mile. Like a couple miles I'm fine with, but mile after mile after mile, you just get kind of tired of going the whole freaking time. And that's just me. I don't care for them. But the Sandstone Canyon, oh my God, was it gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And then one day I would like to be able to get down to where the mud caves are on the other side of the Diablo drop off. Having that Tacoma get stuck there was not ideal. But I would go back to the Anza Borrego Desert to explore, but I'd like to go back with people. Just other people, just to enjoy the adventure going back to explore, or if, met somebody that is down and around that area, or from that area, and knows other places to go, that'd be really fun. Just because then I get to explore with somebody else. Like, doing all that exploring was great, but I was about the only rig out there that was solo. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but being able to have people with you is always fun. Joshua Tree National Forest, or National Park, sorry, loved it. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. And if you have never gone, go and take one of the mountain passes in and then out. It makes it just that much more of an experience to just sit there and go, I drove through the mountains to get in here, and then I drove through the mountains to get out. You get views that you don't see from the road. And that is what made it for me. Oh my goodness. Like, you go through the mountain pass from Indio through, and then you round a corner that goes up, and then you just, boom, Joshua Trees. It's like, wow. And you just start going down, and you just get the view. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. Then you leave, and you have to track up, the side I went, that Old Dale Road. Interruptions. But you go up that Old Dale Road trail. Oh my goodness, there's so many different trails out there, guys. Once you get out towards the mountains, and then on top of the mountains, there's so many different trails. And it was just a super fun feeling to have, driven 2 trails to get in and out of the park and exploring the park. Now, I will admit that some of the trails in the park were closed, and there was a lot of asphalt and people. Oh my God, there was a lot of people. And I know in college isn't quite out yet. Like, holy cow. But it was really cool. And then my initial impressions of the Mojave. We are going to go back. That place is so diverse and beautiful. Holy crap, guys. It was gorgeous. And there is just a huge area of nothing but just Joshua trees, and like that you can take trails and just through them forever and actually go towards something, not just stuck in the park. And I was not expecting that. That was great. And we will be going back, because that's even closer than the Anza Borrego. It's about 12 hours from home, from here. So we will go back. May not be this year, until maybe the end of the year. Just because, one, we just went there, and two, it is moving in the summer quick. Like here in Colorado, it is 46 today. It's nice. Got a jacket on. The desert, it was 102. So we're not going back to the desert anytime soon. I don't do 100 and something degree temperatures too much anymore. It's not comfortable to be in, it's not comfortable to camp in, no. But we will go hit the deserts again soon. But that was the trip, guys. I really enjoyed it. Now, it was a lot of pavement pounding. Next time, I would plan it to where I'd hit, pavement for a little bit, and then start from someplace and try and stay all trail through it, and just kind of focus on one area. I think I set my goals too big on trying to hit multiple little areas and explore them, and those little areas are huge. So I think next time I would just kind of choose one place, like go to the Mojave, and that is what I am exploring. That is the only reason I am there, is to explore the Mojave, and then turn around and come back. I feel like I set my ambitions a little too high on trying to hit all these different places and try and have time to do it. Yeah, and next time I do something like go for a longer day trip, I will hopefully no longer have knee pain. We will see. Because that thing is still, my knee is still messed up. So we'll see. That made it a little more challenging as well. So what do we have in the future? So you kind of saw that trip and how, and in the past couple videos I've told you that, every month we have some kind of trip planned. because that is my goal. It's every month to do exploring here in Colorado, especially now that things are thawing, go explore Colorado, but also go on these trips to go explore other places. So what is in store? So for the next few months, because it is May, we will be going to a few different places, but we're actually going to be doing a lot more here in Colorado. So the rest of this month of May, we'll have been exploring different parts of Colorado, different trails. Come June, Lindsay and I actually have a vacation that we're going to be going on because Lindsay needs a break, I need a break, and we're actually going to go. Her parents are actually coming to the mainland to visit, but not here in Colorado, but they're coming to the mainland, so we're going to go on a vacation and explore and have some fun. If I may do a little bit of filming with you guys on that, but it's mostly just going to kind of be a little break for us to just have a good time. And then the rest of June, we are going to be exploring Colorado, especially because things are definitely going to be thawed, open, and it is going to be a fun time. I've got Jason. I've been meeting a couple other people in the process and messaging people, and hopefully we'll have a nice group of people to go wheeling with and overlanding with. That is the hope. In July, if we don't hit, so my goal is to hit quite a few passes, passes in Colorado in June and some in July. We will see just how much we accomplish, but in June in July, we will probably either go back down to Flagstaff to explore, or we will head over towards the Wyoming area and Idaho, somewhere up in that area. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, just because I'm kind of seeing what's in store. There's a few things I have going on in the background personally that could sideline some of those trips and us having to stay a little local. But we will see. And then in August, I have to go down to San Diego for my sister's wedding. She's getting married. And then we have Overland Expo Mountain West. I will be at Overland Expo Mountain West for that, so more Colorado exploring and being at that. August is a very, very busy month for our household. We just have a lot of things happening in August. So we will see. And then I think as far as I'm going to give you guys for info for September, the goal is to go out to the Ozark National Forest. That is my goal for September, is to go to the Ozarks. I have already started planning that trip. I would love to do it with other people, so I'm kind of getting a feel for what people's schedules are that I know, and reaching out to some other people to see who would be interested in going. But the goal is to go out there. I'm already finding trails. I'm searching for campsites. I'm doing the whole 9 yards to get this adventure planned, and it's going to take a little bit because I want to make sure that it's good to go, planned. None of this changing things on the fly just because I didn't plan it out. So that is the goal, guys. That is kind of what has been going on, guys, and the update to go. We do have some other product reviews coming in the future. I've been working, some other companies have reached out to me, so we'll have some other things that some collaborations that I've been doing that you guys will get to find out later on. I'm not going to say a whole lot about them now, as I'm still working out some of the details. And in terms of the rigs, we do have a couple projects for the Jeep that we're going to be doing that I'm not going to mention just yet. I'm still working out. I know what I want to do. I'm still working out how I want to do it, and I'm going to bring you guys along on those adventures, like through those projects. Just because I think a lot of people will find it very interesting, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. And then for the D100, which y'all have not seen in a while, we do have a couple things coming for that. I've got some parts on order. I'm just waiting for them to get here. We are going to be doing a couple upgrades to the engine, just because as I've been driving it and using it more, just certain parts just need to be changed. And so once those parts get here, we will have a day of doing a project in the garage with the D100 And I think you guys will enjoy it. I've already had to redo the wiring. Like, I didn't replace the wiring, I just kind of reorganized it and had to fix some of the connections on the wires because, oh my goodness, I don't know how that thing didn't catch on fire already. There was a lot of live stripped wires just touching things. It's amazing when you do a little maintenance on it and you go, oh, where does this random wire go to? And you follow it. And you look under the dash and you just go, oh, Lord. Just wires everywhere, and you find a lot of live wires and you're like, oh gosh. So I spent 5 hours kind of reorganizing the main wiring harness in the D100, and we will do a video on kind of what I was doing and what we're going to be doing to the D100 in the future once I get those parts that I've ordered in. Well guys, thank you for joining me today in the garage and hanging out with me as I kind of just explained what has been happening, how the trips have been going, and what is going to be coming in the future. We may do a few other more videos like this as time goes on, but I just wanted to have a chat with you guys because I kind of left you all hanging in Southern California and didn't really do anything to fix that until now, because I was just, yeah, it was a crazy journey coming home. But thank you guys for joining me here in the garage today. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you guys are what is going to make that happen. I'm going to continue to be putting out 2 videos a week every Wednesday and Friday. So if you guys want to, keep up on what's going on, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps me out immensely, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. If you guys would like to see certain kinds of content, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I will read it and I'll respond, and I will start trying to tailor some content towards what you guys would like to see. I'm very interested to know what you guys kind of look for in content and what you guys would like to see on this channel, or what you guys kind of look for from other channels too. So go ahead and leave a comment below. If you haven't checked out some of our other social media platforms, go ahead and check out the links down in the description. They're there. And if you guys would like to help support me on my adventures, there is a link to Patreon down below. Anything you guys want to contribute, I greatly appreciate it. It does help with creating the content and being able to go on our journeys. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.